One day, I got a call from a professor who had advised me on mathematics. He was a pretty good friend of mine whom I'd known from Texas days, Professor Kenneth M. Hoffman. He was the chairman of the Department of Mathematics at MIT at the time. And one day he called me and he said, I know you're looking for a first-rate mathematician, and I have a name for you, Steve Grossberg. I said, if Steve Grossberg is so good, why are you recommending him to me? Generosity is not something you expect from colleagues at the university. Hoffman explained that the math department at MIT was organized around two divisions, the division of pure math and the division of applied math. And in order to maintain their peaceful coexistence, the department had developed a procedure whereby they alternated in the promotion to tenure of persons in the two divisions. And it worked out pretty well. One year, a mathematician in the pure division was given tenure. The next year, it would be open, and the nod would go to somebody in applied math. Unfortunately, in this particular year, each division had proposed an outstanding candidate, and Hoffman was in a position where he couldn't promote both of them. And so he said, I wish that MIT could keep both, but they can't, and they won't let me. And so I know that Stephen's going to be very upset. I think he wants to stay in Boston. I know he's first rate, and I believe you have a chance of getting it. Well, needless to say, I leapt at the chance, and I invited Mr. Grossberg to visit Boston University. I was fascinated by his interests. He was well equipped to apply mathematical concepts to the understanding of the human mind. And I thought, well, he's a latter-day Pythagoras. He believes all things are numbers. That is, that you can offer a scientific account of things as ineffable as the human mind. He dreams that Pythagorean dream of reducing this esoteric area to numbers and to scientific examination. His aim, he explained to me simply and modestly, was to solve the mind-body problem. How the brain gives rise to a mind. He was looking for a mechanistic link between them. Now, as a philosopher, I was well aware that the mind-body problem had been around for a couple of thousand years. And frankly, I had very little confidence that Grossberg or anyone else would succeed in this. But I believe that despite the difficulties, he might succeed. And in any case, and this was the important point, in any case, I was confident that whatever failures he might have would be important failures and would be instructive failures. And so I was pleased to announce his acceptance of our offer. He joined our faculty in 1975. With each passing year, I became amazed at just how successful he has been. With his early derivations of behavioral mechanisms, which dates back into the 60s, as properties of real-time brain mechanisms, he had constructed models, and then he embedded those early models in later models and had a kind of evolution of models in which he could refine them in terms of not only his work, but the work that was done by other colleagues in this general area. And his goal was nothing less than a mathematics of neural systems. This event that you've seen described here in 1977 is something that came to me as appalling. I had learned from my experience at Texas, in which I had removed 22 of 28 department chairmen in less than 2 years. Sometimes it's a mistake to move too fast. And consequently, when Stephen Grossberg was turned down for tenure, I didn't immediately just jump in there and do something about it. I talked to Dean Donor, and I said, who the hell are these guys that can't figure out what he wants to do? It's pretty clear what he wanted to do. He told me he was going to solve the mind-body problem. Now, the question of his success was raised by some of those deep-thinking observers and commenters, and they didn't know whether he would succeed. And I said, well, neither do I, but how many scientists have worked on problems on which the outcome was totally uncertain, where it was totally in doubt. So what are we worried about? It was reversed. I understand the reference to the jackass. It is a comment on the administration. I've heard. And I feel very flattered that it was a mule rather than a jackass. It means it was part horse. Now his success, Stephen's success, has extended over the years to beyond the projects that he and his team have done, because he has been a catalyst for change throughout the university, throughout at least much of the university, and certainly in all the scientific and some of the social science areas. His research programs are fundamentally interdisciplinary, involving colleagues from many departments of the university, and I'm very pleased from departments in other universities. His interdisciplinary movement has been reflected in his title. He, as many of you know, is the Wang Professor of Cognitive and Neural Systems, and he's also Professor of Mathematics, Professor of Psychology, and Professor of Biomedical Engineering. He must work in all of these fields, otherwise he can't get his work done. And this, it seems to me, is one of the most important things that universities have to be aware of, as to how to be concerned about the reunification of knowledge instead of simply the isolation in narrow specialties that never talk to one another. As chairman of the Department of Cognitive and Neural Systems and as director of the Center for Adaptive Systems, he has brought to the university a remarkable group of gifted colleagues and very gifted students, many of whom are participating in this conference. With the grants that he has been awarded, he has financed much of his work and made possible the addition of many additional outstanding colleagues, and also scholarships and fellowships and research assignments for graduate students. And also, he had funds to encourage the collaboration of colleagues from other universities. His cumulative research grants have exceeded $26 million, and that figure is still rising. A remarkable record of success. And most universities would settle for the money even if he hadn't done anything. Don't think I'm cynical, that's just an obvious fact. A particular satisfaction to me is his latest adventure in establishing Celeste, the Center for Learning and Education, Science and Technology. I was very honored when he invited me to participate in the site visit from the NSF. That center brings together and focuses the combined abilities of scientists, educators, and technologists from several different departments of the university, and from Brandeis, from MIT, and from the University of Pennsylvania. Their goal is to study learning systems by integrating the work that Grossberg and his group and other groups have done, what they've accomplished in brain science. They want to combine that with biologically informed technology and with classroom innovation. This project is still in its very early stages. It's a multi-year program sponsored by the NSF. And I believe that to a significant degree, the success of the United States in overcoming the appalling deficiency in mathematical and scientific education in this country is going to depend quite significantly on the success of this project. This splendid conference, in which so many colleagues and former students, and I understand that they're not only students, but they're students of students here. It's an intergenerational as well as an interdisciplinary conference. This conference is a truly fitting tribute to a great man, to a great scientist, and to a great educator, Steve Grossberg. Thank you.